My name is Sophia. I'm 19 years old and my own father sold me like I was a piece of property. But just wait, because the story gets so much worse. He didn't sell me to just anyone. He sold me to the most dangerous and powerful family in the country. And when I found out the real reason, my world completely fell apart. But I promise you, by the end of this story, he's going to regret every single second. Because I'm not that naive girl who accepted everything in silence anymore. I became the worst revenge they could ever imagine. It all started on my 18th birthday. I woke up excited, hoping for at least a happy birthday from my dad. Maybe a cake, perhaps a simple present. But instead, I found him in the living room talking to men in black suits, men who radiated danger. Dad, who are these people? Sophia, put on something nice, we have important visitors. Important visitors? On my birthday? He didn't even remember it was my birthday. Typical him. Ever since my mum died 5 years ago, he became a stranger. Cold, distant, always busy with shady business I didn't understand. I came downstairs an hour later, wearing a simple blue dress, and all eyes turned to me. There was an older man, probably in his 50s, looking at me in a way that made me feel dirty, like he was appraising me. Next to him, a guy around my age, maybe a little older, stood with his arms crossed, staring at me with an empty expression. Perfectly styled black hair, eyes as dark as coal, a sharp jawline. He was handsome, but there was something disturbing about the way he looked at me. Or rather, the way he showed absolutely no emotion. "Is this your daughter? She's even prettier than in the photos," the older man said, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. My dad smiled. A smile I'd never seen before. A fake, greedy, almost hungry smile. "Pleasure, Sophia. My name is Dante Rossi, and this is my son, Lorenzo." Rossi. I knew that name. Everyone in the city knew it. They controlled half the businesses. Casinos, hotels, restaurants, construction companies. Businesses no one dared to question. There were rumours, of course. Rumours they were involved in illegal stuff, but no one talked about it openly. Fear. It was always fear. "What are they doing here, Dad?" "Joining us for dinner, of course. Don't be rude, Sophia." I wanted to scream. I wanted to run to my room and lock the door. But something in my father's eyes told me to be quiet, to smile and accept. So that's what I did, like an idiot. During dinner, Dante couldn't stop looking at me. He asked questions about my life, my plans, my ambitions. Lorenzo, on the other hand, seemed completely bored, scrolling through his phone like he'd rather be anywhere else. He didn't say a single word the entire meal. "So, Sophia, I hear you're finishing high school. Any plans for college?" "Yes, Mr. Rossi. I want to study architecture. I've always loved drawing buildings, imagining spaces." "How lovely! A smart and talented young lady. My son appreciates intelligent people too. Don't you, Lorenzo?" Lorenzo looked up from his phone, stared at me for 2 seconds with that empty gaze, and went back to ignoring everyone. "Sure, Dad. Whatever you say." His voice was deep, but completely monotone, as if every word was an effort he didn't want to make. I was confused, deeply confused. What the hell was going on? Why was this family in my house? Why was my dad acting so strange? After dinner, as I was helping the housekeeper clear the table, my dad called me into his office. He closed and locked the door. That was never a good sign. Whenever he locked the door, it meant I was in trouble or bad news was coming. "Dad, who are these people? Why are they here? What's happening?" "Sophia, you're a smart girl. You're 18 now, an adult. It's time for you to do your part for this family." "My part? What are you talking about?" I frowned, feeling my heart speed up. "You are going to marry Lorenzo Rossi." The words came out of his mouth like it was the most natural thing in the world, like he was telling me we were going out for dinner. I laughed. I laughed because I thought it was a sick joke, a weird prank. But when I looked at his face, I saw he was completely serious. His expression was hard, determined. "Are you crazy? I'm not marrying a stranger. I don't even know that guy." "Yes, you are. The deal is done. And before you make a scene, know that this is non-negotiable. Sophia, you will marry Lorenzo Rossi in 3 months." Deal? What kind of deal? My voice was trembling now, caught between anger and fear. He sighed like he was tired of me, like I was a burden. The Rossis paid $5 million. In exchange, you will marry their son and secure an alliance between our families. This opens doors for me, Sophia. Doors I need. I felt my stomach turn. I felt bile rising in my throat. You sold me. Like I was livestock. Like I was an object for sale. Don't be dramatic, you'll have a good life. They're one of the richest families in the country. You'll live in a mansion and have everything you want. I don't want to be rich. I want to choose my own life. I want to go to college, meet someone I love, and build my own future. He slammed his hand on the desk, making me jump. The sound echoed through the office. Enough, Sophia. You will do as I say. I am your father and you will obey me. End of discussion. Now get out and go to your room. I don't want to hear another word about it. I left his office with tears streaming down my face. I ran to my room, stumbling up the stairs, and locked the door behind me. I just threw myself on the bed and cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since my mother's funeral. How could he do this to me? I was his daughter, his own flesh and blood. But deep down, way deep down, I knew he never loved me. After Mum died, he became a different person, cold, distant, greedy, and now he was selling me off like an object, a means to an end. A week later, I was officially engaged to a guy who barely looked at me. Lorenzo was handsome, I couldn't deny that. He had that dangerous bad boy kind of beauty. Messy black hair that was always perfectly messy, piercing dark eyes, a sharp jawline, an athletic build. But he was also the most insufferable, cold, and arrogant human being I had ever met. He treated me like I was invisible, like I was a piece of furniture. Can you at least pretend to care? I asked him one day, while trying on wedding dresses in a ridiculously expensive boutique. My dad had hired a private stylist, photographers, makeup artists, everything to make sure the wedding was perfect. But Lorenzo was just sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone, completely uninterested. Pretend what? He didn't even look up from the screen. I glared at him, feeling my blood boil, that we're about to get married, that you're picking out a dress for your bride, that this is important. He finally looked up, stared at me for a second, and shrugged. Look, I didn't ask for this, okay? My father made this decision, just like yours did, so just relax and accept it. Do us both a favour and stop being so dramatic. Accept? You think I'm just going to accept being treated like merchandise, like a business deal? He stood up slowly, putting his phone in his pocket. He walked over to me with that arrogant swagger, looking down at me. He was tall, a good 6 inches taller than me. Listen here, princess. I'm not happy about this situation either. Believe me, there are a million things I'd rather be doing right now, but unlike you, I know when a fight is pointless. So do us both a favour and stop complaining. Just accept it and move on. I pushed him. Hard. Or at least I tried to. He barely moved, and he had the nerve to smirk, a cocky, irritating half-smile. You've got some fire. I like that. At least you were not one of those fragile girls who faints at the first sign of trouble. I pushed him again, harder this time. He laughed. He actually laughed, and that just made me even angrier. The wedding was ridiculous, a huge ceremony in a historic church, with over 300 guests. I didn't know most of them. They were all business associates of my dad and the Rossi family, important people, politicians, business owners, powerful people. My dad was beaming, shaking everyone's hand, probably mentally spending the $5 million he'd received. Lorenzo was bored, as usual. He stood at the altar with his hands in his pockets, staring into space. And me? I was destroyed inside. I walked down the aisle feeling like I was going to my own funeral. When the priest said those words every bride dreams of hearing, "You may kiss the bride," Lorenzo gave me a quick, cold, almost robotic peck. Our lips barely touched. It was so emotionless it didn't even feel real. None of it felt real. It was like I was watching my life from outside my body, like it was happening to someone else. The honeymoon was a complete disaster. We went to a paradise island in the Caribbean, a 5-star resort with private beaches, luxurious overwater bungalows, romantic candlelit dinners. Everything was perfect, everything was beautiful, and completely miserable. I spent most of the time locked in the room crying, staring at the ocean through the window. Lorenzo didn't even care. He went out every morning, hit the beach, chatted with other guests, drank at the bar, as if I didn't exist, as if he didn't have a devastated wife in the room. One day, after 5 days of silence, I snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. Why did you marry me if you hate me so much? If I annoy you so much, why did you agree? He was on the balcony, looking at the ocean. He stopped, turned slowly and stared at me. I don't hate you, Sophia. I just don't know you. And honestly, I don't care to. This is just a deal, a contract, nothing more. The sooner you understand that, the better it'll be for you. That hurt more than anything my father had done, because at least my father was driven by greed. But Lorenzo simply didn't care. I was irrelevant to him. I thought my honeymoon was the start of a new life, and it was, just not the one I imagined. I came back to find I wasn't going home. My childhood room, my memories, all packed away. I was moving into the Rossi mansion. It was a palace. 10 bedrooms, a massive pool, gardens that stretched for acres. It looked like a luxury hotel, but it felt like a prison. My new father-in-law, Dante, was disturbingly nice. Too nice. His eyes were always calculating, like he was sizing me up for something. And my new husband, Lorenzo. He acted like I was carrying a plague. Separate rooms, of course. He'd leave before sunrise and come back after I was asleep. Days would go by without me even seeing him. This wasn't a marriage. It was a transaction I didn't understand. One night, I couldn't sleep. I tiptoed downstairs for some water and heard voices from Dante's office. The door was cracked open. I knew I should have just walked away, but something pulled me closer. Do you think she suspects anything? That was Dante. No, Lorenzo's voice replied, cold and sharp. She's too naive. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The plan is in motion. In 2 months, it'll all be over. My heart stopped. What plan? Then Dante asked about my father. He's holding up his end. He's already transferred all the shares. Once the paperwork is done, the company will be ours. Lorenzo added, And her? She'll never know what happened. They laughed. A cold, cruel sound that echoed in the silent house. They were laughing at me. I crept back to my room, my whole body trembling. What shares? What company? A sick feeling began to twist in my gut. I started digging. I snuck into Dante's office when he was out, sifting through his papers. I went through Lorenzo's laptop while he was in the shower, and then I found it. The truth. A truth so ugly it shattered me. My father hadn't just sold my hand in marriage. He'd sold my mother's company. The jewellery business she built from nothing, her entire legacy, a company that, according to her will, was legally mine. But because I was married, my husband Lorenzo had legal access to it. My own father had orchestrated the whole thing. The marriage was a lie, a legal loophole to steal my inheritance. That night, I confronted Lorenzo. I pounded on his door until he opened it. You bastard, you knew everything. He just sighed, looking bored. So what? It's just business, Sophia. Nothing personal. My father needed the company. Your father needed the money. We needed a wife to seal the deal. Everybody wins. Nothing personal? I screamed, my voice cracking. You stole the one thing my mother left me. He just shrugged. I didn't steal anything. Your father sold it. It's all legal. There's nothing you can do. I flew at him, hitting his chest with my fists, but he just grabbed my wrists. Let me go, I shrieked. I hate you. He looked right through me. I know, and I don't care. He pushed me away and slammed the door in my face. In that moment, something inside me broke, and something else, something harder and colder, was born. I swore I would get my revenge, on all of them, my father, Lorenzo, Dante. They were all going to pay. It took me 6 long months. I used my own money to hire private investigators and the best fraud lawyers I could find. I secretly recorded conversations, photographed documents, and built an airtight case. The naive girl they married was gone. When I finally sued them, it was the best feeling of my life. My father cried and begged. Lorenzo sent thugs to intimidate me. But I didn't flinch. In the courtroom, every lie, every forged document, every dirty secret came to light. My lawyers were sharks. And in the end, I won. I got my mother's company back. I got the marriage annulled. And I got my life back on my own terms. They thought they could break me, but they only taught me how to fight. And on top of all that, I got a multi-million-dollar settlement for emotional damages and fraud. My father went completely bankrupt. He lost everything. The house, the cars, his reputation, all gone. Lorenzo and Dante, they lost everything they had stolen from me, had to pay heavy fines, and even faced criminal investigations. But you know what was the most satisfying part of it all? Seeing the absolute regret in their eyes, especially my father's. He came to me begging, "Sophia, please forgive me. You're my daughter. I did it for us." I just looked at him. Now I'm your daughter? Before I was just merchandise, a means for you to get money. He cried. He actually cried like a child. But I felt absolutely nothing. As for Lorenzo, well, that story got weird. Really weird. After everything was over, he came to me. He just showed up at the door of my new house, completely unannounced. He said, "I made a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life." "A mistake?" I told him. "You destroyed my life. You used me like an object." He just stood there and said, "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry, Sophia." I shot back, "Sorry isn't enough, Lorenzo. Some things are unforgivable." He nodded. "I know, but I wanted you to know that I regret it. For real. If I could go back in time, I would have refused my father's stupid plan." I looked at him, and for the first time since we'd met, I saw something different in those dark eyes. It was sincerity, real, genuine regret. But still, I turned around and walked away. I closed the door right in his face. Today, 3 years after this whole nightmare, I run my mother's company. I've made it even bigger, stronger, and more powerful than ever before. I now have 200 employees, with branches in 5 different states. My jewellery line has become a national benchmark. My father, I never spoke to him again. I don't even want to know where he is or what happened to him. And Lorenzo, well, let's just say fate has a very strange and very ironic sense of humour. Because guess who showed up at my company 6 months ago? Desperate, practically begging for a job? That's right. Lorenzo Rossi. He had lost absolutely everything. His family was completely bankrupt after the scandal blew up. And do you know what I did? I hired him, but not as an executive, not as a manager. I hired him as my personal assistant. Now, he's the one who brings me coffee every single morning. He organises my schedule. He carries my bags. He runs around trying to keep up with my appointments. And every time he complains, every time I hear him sigh with exhaustion, I just smile and say the exact words he once told me. "It's just business, Lorenzo. Nothing personal." And believe me, the look of regret on his face every time I say it, it's worth every second, every single humiliation, every order I give. Because in the end, I prove something very important to myself. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, is ever going to use me again. And for those who tried, well, they're still paying the price. My mother always told me that the women in our family were strong, that we had a fire burning in our souls, and she was right. For a while, that fire was dormant. But now it burns brighter than ever. Thank you for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.